So what's being pointed to here is really beyond any words. It can't be described. It can't be known. And it seems really simple and ordinary. The ordinariness of just what's appearing to happen. Just the body breathing. The body sitting. And really nothing else is happening. It's just simply this. And this is a total mystery. It can't be understood. And this is totally empty, without any meaning or purpose. It just simply is. What can seem to appear is a sense of separation that feels like it's apart from this, that it can somehow lose this or somehow find this. But it's an illusory effect. It's a sense that takes ownership of the body. It feels like it's moving in time. Feels like it has a real story, has a past, present, and future. And it's really remarkable that it can appear that way and it can feel so real. That there are actual separate entities in bodies, in these human bodies. And the sense of control can feel really real. But really, the body is just, it's an amazing organism that's doing everything on its own. It's thinking, feeling, moving, making choices. And when it's seen that there's nothing of anything other than this, then it can be seen that there's no one anywhere. There's no separate individual anywhere. everything is just a happening. And nothing's actually happening. It's just empty life living. And there's no beginning or end to it. If anyone has any questions, could raise your hand.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hi.
I don't know if I have a question. I think it's more of a response.
Sure.
Um, I mean, I'll just say, just as you were talking, I just felt so much peace and love and joy
Mm,
on a really subtle level. And other times when I hear this message, I'm fucking terrified. You
yeah.
know, like I listened to one talk on non-duality, very similar to this, and I walked out. I took a walk, and oh my God, it was like a horror show. People looked weird and everything looked weird. And so that's just kind of the response I'm putting out. I've been, doing meditation and Buddhist work and have heard of not self, before, and have had both responses back and forth. The first time I heard about not self, I felt my whole body was unwinding. Like I could hardly hold on to my chair. And I kept seeing the Fool tarot card, the Fool jumping off the cliff with his little dog. Um, and then, another time I heard it and I was just like terrified. Um, but I just turned 60 and I just got really clear that I want peace more than anything. I want peace and I want truth. And I don't care if the truth is something I like or don't like. I just want it. I want peace and I want truth. And so I'm listening to you and other non-duality folks constantly. Just
Mhm.
that just seems to be what's happening.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
The it can be so relaxing and relieving to know that no one was ever in control of anything and life was just happening on its own. And then it could be terrifying because that sense, that thought it had control is is confronted, even though it's not real, but there was a sense that I actually had control of my life and I was actually making these decisions. And yeah, this is probably the most confronting message for that.
yeah.
And so it's, yeah, totally understandable that it would bring up relief and also just terror. Absolute.
and and sometimes, I mean, a lot of times I'm laughing and sometimes I'm terrified. Like, this is just a stupid example, but I post a lot on Facebook and I can see that, I in my posting, I have like this community of people that I think something of me, and that's a big part of my. And I was like, fuck, that's not real. It's not good or bad. It's just like, whoa, I've been living in this daydream of this community of I keep thinking there's like little scabs that keep dropping off. Like, oh, I loved this scab and now it's disappearing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it was just a scab.
yeah. Did you say you love the scab and now it's disappearing?
Well, like Facebook is a scab, like, and how I see people seeing me.
Yeah.
Because I'm really good at Facebook. I post lots of spiritual things and I'm funny and I take good photographs.
Mm,
I think. I'm probably really irritating too. But I just saw that that was just one of the dreams that fell away. That,
mm,
and who, maybe that'll mean I'll stop. I have noticed that I'm less on social media. It's just interesting to see the things that drop away.
I know.
And my to-do list has dropped away. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I wonder what I'm gonna do today. I have
Uh-huh.
no idea. And
Yeah,
things get done and there's no to-do list and it
yeah,
still gets done. And
yeah,
I'm at, like I said, what's beautiful is that I'm at peace. I'm not, I this message, what I feel like this message has given me lately is I'm no longer on this treadmill of self-improvement and getting things done and being seen.
absolutely.
Um, I'm not trying to be the star of my movie anymore. I'm letting the movie play out
Yeah, yeah.
and no longer trying to do some kind of
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. It can feel like you're not at the center of it anymore and life is just being lived. And yeah, there's nowhere to get to anymore. It's actually it can be more of a resting or relaxing into just what is, which is unknown and mysterious and spontaneous in a way. So no
Mhm.
planning is really needed. Not that it can't happen,
Mhm.
but it won't fulfill you in the same way anymore. And that's why things can also fall away because the one that felt fulfilled by certain things, external things or external validation, it's not being fed anymore. And so that's why some things can just fall away.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually when they fall away, it's not a problem.
Mm,
I mean, sometimes I cling, but for the most part, it's pretty hilarious.
mhm. Yeah. To see
Oh,
what,
I thought that was really happening. I thought that was so important. I
yeah,
thought,
yeah,
and in reality, I have no fucking idea what's going on and how beautiful that is.
yeah.
And it's so much more real than what I thought was real,
Mm.
even though it's completely unreal.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's kind of like the focus that was so centered on the self is now kind of like almost energetically drawing back and like just dissolving back into nothing, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to like in meditation, and it still happens. I used to like note my thoughts, planning, remembering, and now I'm noticing I don't like that's just kind of happening. I'm seeing the the thoughts, the movie, the chatter, and
Mm-hmm.
there's not. I feel like this message has helped me um, see the delusion of that. I don't have to play whack-a-mole so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, for sure.
It's kind of happening on its own.
Right. It's kind of free to just be now because it now there can be less, yeah, identification with it or ownership of those thoughts. So they're not as threatening. Not that the body can't be triggered, but there can just be a subtle sense that it's not happening for anyone. It's just an
Mm,
appearance, like everything.
mhm.
And ironically, it can still be used. The body, still functions and
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, I mean, lately I can report, I just feel spacious. I almost kind of want to squeeze my head back in, sometimes there's just kind of a spaciousness happening. That's really lovely.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you. I've been listening a lot to your videos. I really appreciate
Yeah,
you
nice.
putting your videos out there.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to speak with you.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
I've watched you a few times. I've recently found you on YouTube, searching for a way out of this and just listening recently to a lot of non-duality, all kind of videos. I don't even know if I have a question, just, I don't know. I'm here and I'm just sharing.
Yeah.
So, first of all, it used to be a period, I'm like in this non-duality spirituality path for the last, I don't know, 12, 15 years maybe from now. And it was a period, a long one, like years or in a row, 3, 4, 5 years maybe, where after like a big opening, like a big whatever it was, everything was like water. And this message, like nothing is happening and it's just happening, like, it was so obvious and it was so true, alive in here. But after a while, I don't know, it kind of diluted somehow. And I wasn't feeling like getting back to it, but it changed. And instead of that, I don't know, it was like aliveness, synchronicity. It was wow. It was not a day going by without a wow, like,
Mm.
And after this period of just almost nothing, like peace, so to say, almost nothing, like really steady and flat kind of feeling. But this feeling of separation was always there. Like I could have feel this aliveness, this synchronicity, everything I was reading, it was true, like in experience, I could verify it in experience. And then and then a relationship came. It was a period of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years where almost I did nothing. Like I was just, I don't know, nothing, just, I don't know, usual life, eating, sleeping, working in the garden, and I don't know, meeting friends, and I don't know, like nothing special. And a relationship came and it pushed all my fucking buttons,
Yeah.
everything.
Uh-huh.
Man, it was like every feeling of rejection, of non-validation, of not being loved, of giving and not receiving back, and everything that I thought, I didn't even thought of it like it was there. I'm free of it. I didn't have this feeling like I'm free of this condition, human conditions or whatever. No, it was just peaceful, you know. I wasn't thinking about it. I functioned all my life like this, like I wasn't in charge of my life. Just life was just flowing, you know, and I was, oh, okay, now I'm doing this. Oh, okay. Like I was not planning. I cannot plan even now. Even I feel frustrated when a plan appear, like somebody else, you know, come and let's do this and we have to plan. And it's somewhere inside is like, oh, why plan? You know, just let it flow. I realize it has to be like, you know, but you know what I mean. I don't like to plan. It's better flow. I better flow, you know.
Mm.
And this relationship came and oh fuck. Yes. And after 2 years, we apparently break up. And she's like fire. She's honest and she's direct and she's, you know, like straight in the face. No, like, you know, like, oh, maybe you're feeling not good if I'm telling you. No. She's like in the face. My God, and it I was in hell. Like, oh, fire all over the place, in my head, in my chest, all my life I felt this portion of my body when some trigger appeared. This is the portion where I'm feeling like something's just exploding here, you know, like I'm feeling like cracking.
Mm.
Yeah. And this made me like watching like crazy non-duality videos, you know, going back to, because for a period of time I didn't feel like watching, reading. I never knew how to meditate. I never knew how to clean the body, how to, I don't know, raise my energy. I know I cannot do this. I feel it's not true. It's not true. For me, it's not true. Just a better flow. Like I'm very intuitive. I'm functioning like this. And I came back to this non-duality, trying to find release for this me that was suffering. Oh, and I'm in this point where on one hand, I cannot bear this contraction, you know, like contraction inside, you know, this feeling of me that wants and fears and doesn't want and even enjoys. I'm in this point where I don't even want to enjoy and not want to. I'm kind of, well, better not, you know. I'm sick of this contraction. And on one hand, I'm hearing, and I know, like, you cannot do nothing because you don't exist. I don't exist. This me doesn't exist. It's just an illusion. So you cannot do anything. And it feels like, okay. And after this, I just, you know, surrender. One good thing that happened after this breakup, we didn't broke up. We still talk, we still see each other, but it's much more like we are burnt by the sun and we don't touch each other, like easy.
Mm-hmm.
It feels much better now because I was crazy in love. Every time I fell in love in this life, it was like crazy, totally, like diving totally, you know. This time was the same. So now it's much more, and it feels good. It feels much more true like this. But I don't know, maybe I'm just, you know, searching for, I don't know, I'm not searching. Even this searching, it feels so exhausting. I cannot search anymore. I cannot because it has this, I have this also idea that you cannot do anything. You cannot do, it's apparent, or only illusion. I have this, you know, recurring thought in the back of my head. So when I saw you, it was like, I don't know, I just kind of resonated. Yeah. Somehow I felt your suffering. You have some of the videos, like earlier videos, where you talk about the suffering before this, and I kind of resonated with that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, ironically, you can get more triggered when you're hearing this message. And especially if you're going through something where it's like an intimate relationship, which is probably one of the most triggering, I would say.
Yes.
And yeah, because what's happening with this message is that the whole sense of you is being uprooted, or it's not being addressed. It's speaking about something beyond that, which is inclusive of everything, but it is speaking about, yeah, you don't exist, but you didn't exist the whole time, and still actions were being taken, things were being done, the body was still making decisions. It just wasn't you that was doing it. It felt like it was you, but it wasn't you. So things actually can still happen. It just might become more clear that no one is actually making any of the decisions. It's just happening.
I wish that. I really wish it. Like, I'm sick of this. You know, I'm sick of this tension, this feeling hurt, this wanting or not wanting, or I'm sick of it. And I can't even recall that period where this message was alive, you know, like experientially was alive in me. I cannot even record, I cannot remember it. Like, it's a vague memory somewhere. I'm not, now I'm even more triggered, like you say. You cannot do anything, you don't exist. On one side, I just, this me just wants to disappear. And somewhere I realized that's because I'm suffering, there is suffering. You know, this is the reason I want to disappear, you know. But on the other hand, if I disappear and I don't exist anymore, there'll be no more suffering, which I know is not true. I know it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sense of wanting to get away, or believing that once this is clearly seen, then it will become better, is not true. It's just another belief.
Okay.
And I would say, like, even if this is clearly seen, if there's stuff that needs to be worked through in the body, it will be worked through. There is no escape from that. So whatever's appearing to happen there, there's nothing wrong with it. In a way, it needs to be processed.
Yeah, it's obvious. And yeah, I know. But you know, it's this idea that yeah, it will be processed. It's been processing anyway, like with or without my interpretation about it, you know. And I realized that what gets me triggered, it's my interpretation about it. And I'm waking for the past 2-3 weeks, when it was really strong, this I don't know, suffering. I used to wake up in the middle of the night, like with the head full of thoughts and, you know, like crazy, crazy, crazy. And I never was like this. I never was like this. Like here was peaceful all the time, you know, like I never believed my thoughts somehow. I never believed the other thoughts, you know, like everything was like, this is not true. All my life I had this feeling, this is not true. It's the feeling like an illusion, like, you know, like it's not having substance like this. But now, my God, is like, you know, heavier, like the heaviest of all my life, you know, like never, I've never been through this, like almost, yeah, like this crazy chattering. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, you know, like, and at some point sometimes I cannot detach and just watch and just light up a cigarette and try to chill down and put a non-dual video and going back to sleep, like while I'm watching it, you know. So
yeah,
it feels like this mind is calming down watching this. So I'm using this. I used to smoke weed for many years, and with this event, like parent breakup, it just quit it. It felt that I didn't quit it, like the weed quitted me somehow, you know, like it felt like this. And it feels good. It feels good, yeah, because I was like just numbing all over again, you know. Yeah.
yeah,
And this crazy tendency that keeps track, you know, like I'm keeping tracking. Oh, if I'm okay, now, yeah, oh no, oh, yeah, it's crazy,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, all I can say is like it feels like it could feel like your whole world is falling apart sometimes, because it kind of is. You know, everything that you thought was you and your world is crumbling. So it's totally understandable that it just feels chaotic more than usual, because before you probably never confronted the very root of your own existence, and now it is being confronted.
Yeah, it's true. I never confronted it because every experience I had about this message, it was spontaneous, you know, like I was translating Eckhart Tolle, or whatever it's pronounced, and something inside just cracked, and I cried and laughed for, I don't know, maybe 3-4 hours in a row. I cried and laughed all the universe. Like it felt like this. Like after that, I spent a few weeks with mooji in Portugal, and like this, it was like spontaneous, not thinking about it, you know, like not inquiring, not you know, tracking. It was like everything was spontaneous. And I took it somehow for granted, you know, like it's just happening. It is just happening, you know? But like you say, maybe it's this time I'm just this, I don't know, this construction, body mind falls back. I don't know. I don't even want to get to a conclusion or something. No. Every time I got to a conclusion, it was not that. So no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It basically, life is just happening. There's like interpretation can, you know, it just arises, it happens, it tries to understand and really know and define. and that can continue, but it will never really fully understand exactly what's going on, because it's really like, it's almost as if a melting can happen, and only in hindsight can you see more clearly what just fell away or what dynamic was identified with, you know?
Yeah, like during the process, it cannot be seen. Yeah.
It's
This is
difficult.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even want, somehow, I don't even want. I don't know what I want. Honestly.
It's understandable that you want relief, and it's normal for the body to not want to feel so intense for so long. So yeah, you could be gentle with the body, because it is a difficult, there can just be a lot of energetic stuff
It
arising.
feels like this, especially here. Sometimes I feel like this heart, like this organic heart, is like, sometimes I'm just looking, is it cracked already or something? It feels like this.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels
It
like this,
your
like,
heart
yeah.
is breaking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks so much for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, wait. Oops. I don't know if I went in order.
Um,
Hi, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, hi, Susan. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Did I skip someone, or it's okay?
I don't mind who goes next. It's fine by me.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Then
I'll wait.
no. Kevin, you go.
Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Susan.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions really, but listening to the last lady speak, I'm just sort of shook those questions around a little bit, so may have to arrange something else. But as I understand it, like you said, we're not actually doing anything. We're not actually here. There's no free will. There's no cause and effect, no time, etc. So clearly then, if there's no cause and effect, so it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't necessarily result in what happened. That's just the impression you get through time, etc. If there's no free will, then whatever happens anyway, even though, you know, this little bit of an ego that sits on top and claims everything, you didn't do it anyway. It's just a clown sort of thing that says, hey, I did that. No, you didn't. I did that. So what I'm getting at, I suppose, is what's the point in trying to pursue this sort of thing? Because it seems like it's already done anyway. It's made up. It's not you who's working towards this goal and yeah, now I've got it. No, it's almost like you're chosen for it. It seems a little bit like that. I know at the bottom, essentially in the nothing and everything, etc., it's non-duality. And so individually, when I talk about you're chosen, you're not chosen, I'm trying, you're not trying, that's just all surface stuff. That's just all the illusion playing out. So it's like the thing itself, choosing the thing itself, or an expression of the thing itself. So coming down to it, I mean, you know, I've been doing certain things. I've been watching a load of videos, etc., like everybody else, and reading books, etc. And I've sort of felt myself at times getting closer and closer. So I think it's ridiculous. It's only a relative thing. And then it all drops to pieces again. I think, oh, where did that go? So start again. And you think, is this incremental? Is it going to be like this? Is it going to fall apart? And I'm going to keep a little bit. And then the next time I'm going to keep a little bit. And before I know, I'm going to be on top of the mountain. Yeah? No, I don't believe that. So I think you just forget it, so to speak. You know, I can watch this, or I can watch Netflix, or I can read a book. If it's going to come knocking on my door, it'll come knocking on my door. I mean, is it a case of you're simply chosen for it? In the scheme of things, you can't do anything yourself.
I don't think no one is chosen. There's no specialness anywhere. So it's just so unknowable, and you can't really say anything for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels devastating for a sense that always felt like there was a point to life, a point to why it was doing something. And it got a sense of hope for knowing the reason for doing something. And that's how it actually felt like it lived its life, with some purpose and meaning. And so it feels devastating for that sense to hear that there is no point to this, or not that there isn't a point. It's just that we don't know what a point is, even if it exists, but it seems like it's just unknown. So it's not really like it's pointless. It's just that we don't know. So this is just boundless life expressing and living in whatever way it appears to do so. And if there's an interest and urge there to listen to this stuff, then it will happen.
Okay. So it seems that what's being said is that, okay, go back to it again. There's only the one thing, or non-duality. It's just a case of like waking up from the fact that there is a separation. There's no separation to begin with. The separation is the illusion, and the illusion is there is no separation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, are we all liberated but don't know it?
Yeah. There's only liberation. Yeah. Everyone's already awake. No one's
Really? Are you listening to that, everybody? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, there's already no one there. There's already no separation.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's like you say, it's like the king's clothes almost. It's just so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. And you can try. I mean, I almost think that the harder you try, are you pushing it away? Because there's a belief that the individual is attempting something, trying something, and that could result in disappointment and lots of other, stresses and stuff that you're almost inflicting on yourself through the struggle. And
Well,
that's where.
Yeah, if that striving is there, then it's just there. But it is coming from a sense that feels like it's not this. I have to get something in order to see or realize this. But it's really the death of the sense that feels like it needs to get somewhere, or it needs something else to become whole. That dissolves, and then it's seen that it was already this the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the other thing, Suzanne, is you hear certain speakers talk about, liberator speakers talk about the seeming altered state of reality within perception, within hearing, appreciation of the natural world, the sort of everything looks so absolutely remarkable, way beyond what sort of most of us see during the day. I mean, I've seen those things from time to time. I ride my bike out in the countryside, and some days I'm sort of falling off my bike, things look so beautiful, and the next day it looks like rubbish again. Nothing's changed. So it sort of comes and goes, this impression. But I've heard other speakers say that they can't see people properly anymore. You can't see the shapes properly anymore. They don't know where the sounds are coming from. I mean, is this an essential part of liberation?
It's not essential. It's just, it could be an after effect, and it differs for everybody.
Okay.
It's not important, but it does seem like things become more dispersed. Like there's really no boundary to anything. And it seems like the effect of the illusion kind of solidified a sense of a me with its own thoughts and emotions. And it can project that seeming solidity everywhere onto everything. And so it seems like when that dissolves, then the solidity everywhere can just, it's not there anymore. So everything's just the mysterious appearance. And there is more of a vibrancy to everything. But that is just an effect that can happen. And it's not meaningful or anything, you know?
Okay, so what for you then is or perhaps this is a misplaced question, is what did I say? The main characteristic, if you like, or the main change in yourself, the main point to your liberation. How does it stand out from before when you were not liberated? I mean, how are you to look at? You look like a perfectly normal human being, and you sound pretty normal, but for some of the things you describe. So in what way then can you tell, oh, this person is a liberated person because of so and so and so and so? Is it purely internal? And if it is, what is it that does it for you? How do you know?
How do I know if another?
No, how do you know yourself? What is it that happened for yourself that makes you realize you're not who you used to be, or you're more than you used to be, whichever it is?
I think the energetic focus that was on a sense that took ownership of everything, like every action that the body did, every functioning of the body was automatically owned by something, a sense. It wasn't a something, it's just an energetic sense. And when that softens, then it's seen that everything is just boundless energy. And the apparent character here, or just the patterns in this body, is just another appearance like everything else, like the tree or that body or the walls. There's no difference. It's all the same. It's all the same one appearance, and it's empty. So there's no individual owning anything anymore, but the body just functions kind of the same as it did before, but certain things fell away because now there's no need for certain things.
What about the boundaries? I've heard people speak about the boundaries, it's non-duality, but you've got to be able to still keep a boundary in case somebody tries to impose on you. I mean, this is not a sort of, ego defense mechanism, or is that perfectly normal anyway, regardless?
Yeah. It's like an animal. Animals can get defensive if they're attacked, or like if something crosses their boundaries or tries to eat their food, or things like that. So defensiveness can arise here. Like actions can be taken if the body feels threatened. It will feel the trigger and it will feel unsafe.
Right. But I suppose the big difference might be that that will arise spontaneously and it'll disappear spontaneously too. Whereas normally, I mean, most of us, if something bad happens, it makes an impact and it lingers. And depending on who you are and how bad it was, it could linger for hours or days. But in your case, because there's no one there, I imagine that the influence of that stimulus would disappear pretty quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't linger for long. And yeah, it's felt a bit more intensely, I would say, because there's no filter anymore. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess you can call like trauma in the body. Well, trauma can still exist, but it feels like it can linger for longer if there's an identification with this happened to me. And if a story remains energetically, it can remain in the body as well, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's great. Well, no, that's great. It's, thanks for all that information, all the chat anyway. Lovely.
Yeah. Nice to speak with you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Hey. Nice to see you.
Hey, thanks for inviting us back.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd hop on since nobody else was asking.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to share really quick. Remember how I was kind of busting your balls because you were forgetting how food works? A couple months ago. I think a few days ago, a few days after I was hanging out with my kid, and she wanted me to watch some YouTube videos, and I reach for my phone and I forget my unlock password that I've had for like 10 years. I just completely forgot. And I was like, what? And I sat there, I locked myself out, and I was thinking about you, because I was kind of in that headspace. I had a lot of clarity at that time, and I was just kind of like, you know, and I don't know. It was just so funny. I was like, oh, I just pulled a Suzanne and forgot basic things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Memory is I have a memory of a goldfish, I think.
Yeah. So I guess I'll share a little bit more and maybe ask. I think the last time we chatted was maybe like 2 months ago. Shortly after that, I had this thing at work where basically it seemed like a Kundalini type symptom where it's getting a bunch of sensation in my chest, and it was like pulsing out into like every nerve in my body, and there was a lot of like kind of like bliss, but it was kind of like an irritating bliss. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but it was like, it felt good, but it was kind of like not good in a way. And my thoughts were so, at the time when that was happening, my thoughts were so, like I was crying, and this was at work, and the thinking was so detached. Everything was so like, kind of like irrelevant, or like had no weight to it. Like during that time, it was just feeling kind of good and kind of bad, and feeling a lot of heat and pressure or whatever in here, and tingling all over my body, and different interesting sensations. And I didn't know what that was. I started researching a little bit about Kundalini after that, and it seemed to trigger like a little bit of seeking, where I was like, oh shit, something's happening. Oh, I'm going to go even deeper. I'm going to go even higher. Like, you know what I mean? It seemed to kind of spin up some sort of expectation again. And it took about 3 weeks for that to settle down or so, but it seems like that kind of unlocked something that was kind of knotted up inside, because after a few weeks after that, it seems just a little more mellow. So I don't know. you never talk about Kundalini. You never say that buzzword, but you do describe energetic sensations or movements and stuff like that. Did you, I don't know, could you comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for here there were sensations like you could say kind of in the chakra areas, more intensely some areas than others. But I don't think that is indicative of anything. It's just energetic releases. Like it seems like wherever there was a lot of constriction for that particular body, when it releases, it's intense and it can it can give a sense of relief after it seems released. But yeah, that can happen whenever it kind of seems. I think you can feel it more intensely, let's say, after, because there's no more story really tied to it. So it can energetically just release faster and more intensely because nothing's really identified with it anymore. So you can feel it a bit more like, oh shit, that was intense. And yeah, the body can feel lighter after that. Yeah, it wasn't one thing here. It just kind of just happened when it happened, and maybe more will happen. I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like, yeah, if there's just a clear seeing, like no one's actually here, then all of the so-called side effects or things that happen is just so unique to everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was still kind of in like somewhat like seeker mode the last time we talked, because I was just kind of floating and a little bit concerned that there was no real motivation to do much of anything, which isn't wrong, but there was a little bit of a concern for it. I was like seeking a little bit, like trying to get more input on how other people awaken or how they experience their awakening. But one person I spoke to described it as kind of like a dam breaking. It's like all dams are going to break slightly different. They're all going to fail slightly different. So you can't really compare one to another. But one guy I spoke to said that he had like a minor awakening, and then a few years later he had something way more intense, and before it kind of settled down. So yeah, I'm not really looking that so much anymore. Things have kind of settled down a lot. Like I just kind of hang out a lot now and just relax, listen to music. I've been listening to a lot more like Spanish music, which is new. But like, there's a lot of like, just, I don't know. It seems like there was a way, it seems like I've gotten back into like a lot of clarity a lot of the time, where there's just nothing going on up here. And I don't know, I'll listen to music and like feel really joyful, you know, for long periods of time. Like it gets really, I don't know. It's kind of like just hanging out. It's kind of like I'm just hanging out feeling good, you know, all the time. So, and then it kind of goes away sometimes, but like it comes back. I don't know. It's fine. It's good. So
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Nice. Good. Yeah, there can be a lot more enjoyment in like little things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can
Thank you.
feel like you're doing something new for the first time too, which is it's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just got a few questions. I just came across non-duality probably a little over a month ago. It's actually more or less the way I've been already going through the journey. So when I came across it, it's like the seeker came out, because it's just I was more intrigued to what people have to say about this type of a lifestyle, if you will. But it really came down to the point, even part of this, isn't this just the story? Like, isn't all this just the story?
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
so then it brings me right back to what my body, someone ended up asking me, like, when do you feel joy or bliss? Or, because I know there's no one out there and I'm not here and all that, but in this story, we're characters. So I've had a characters lately asking me, and I never feel bliss, joy, happy. It's like such a neutral, just stand still. Like, but due to the questionings, it's like it triggered something in my body that I am supposed to feel. Like, so then it got me into the mind loop of, why don't I feel? Like, so I was just wondering if you had any input, if you ever have experienced, because I don't, due to many years, I did come across spirituality, and I mean, I didn't stay in there long, because I seen right through the illusion. Like, I seen the illusion of life at, like, in my teens. So it's not really, to me, it's my everyday thing, even though that I still participate in the story with a job and all this and that, but I don't take things, I guess, personal. But it has activated something, like I said, about the feeling aspects. Like, I'm just wondering that, but I was just wondering if you had any input on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Has it been like that, like your whole life?
I've had sensations or reactions, but to actually say that I felt so happy on top of the world, that I just love life, it's a blessing. No, like, it's never felt like that. Like, it's I don't know. The only word that pops into my mind aspect is, again, I believe it's attachment into the seeking aspect of a blockage or a disconnect, or, I just call that noise kind of a thing. So, but I don't know. It's just that, like, I hear everyone saying what a blessing it is to be alive. I do see the miracle. I think the universe, I don't even like labels, but the design within itself, to actually design itself, to evolve itself, is such mind-blowing that it's not even anything that you can actually conceptualize. So, it allows me in the free flow, just go with it. But knowing that my avatar, body, whatever, it's its own thing, and it's like, for some reason, it's coming in saying that I feel that there might be a message it's trying to tell me, if that makes sense.
I can describe what the difference seemed like. because for here there was just a lot of sensitivity, so there was a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows, and it felt like, oh, where'd you go? Wait just a second.
Yep.
It felt like the sense of a me was really able to amplify the highs, like feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment from them. And then when they left, it was a real low, like I lost something huge, and it meant like I wasn't worthy, or like I wasn't enough. So it was able to go really low. But now it seems like the body is just triggered when it's triggered. It just has responses, like very normal responses that aren't super wrapped around the story anymore, and it just reacts the way it reacts. And it seems like the super high highs and the super low lows seem like they've dissipated, because no one is making much meaning out of anything anymore. So sometimes I can also say that I don't know what I'm feeling. It's only when there's just beauty in nature or something where I could feel a sense of maybe bliss or peace or something. Yeah, if that gives you a hint of like, because it was kind of interesting here to see how the fluctuations of emotions kind of just balanced out.
Okay. So that's probably what's been is that it's such abnormality that it actually, it's almost like the black sheep amongst all the white. It's like I haven't, I'm not saying that I haven't. I mean, there's probably, I have had times, you know, that it's been up and down, but it's been, again, there is no time. So, but obviously the recording of it is no longer accessible, if that makes any sense at all. So it's just intriguing.
Yeah, the recording of,
well, the recording of like the perception, yes, but like memory, like it was, again, it was an X amount of time, but when I bluntly, literally say exactly how things are happening or how I feel, it's like been almost 20 years that it seemed like every day I woke up was a new day. Like I didn't have, so of course, being whatever for the doctor, I ended up, you know, going down that road. Always came back, nothing's wrong. So finally, you know, I learned to, I guess, maybe have a filter of, I don't need to say so much, I guess, you know, like that kind of a thing. So yeah, so to me, like with the memory, it's like a, I don't know, a timestamp kind of a thing. So since the mind per se that doesn't really keep a record, it's like, it's literally my body sensations that, like if I walk by somebody and all of a sudden I feel like this, I know to stay away because I'm just sensing, you know. But since I did come across duality or non-duality, sorry, my apologies, about a month ago, it actually activated is also that part of the story. That we're energetic beings, that we can, sense on things like
Yeah.
it's
Everything
it's
is
an endless thing, right?
yeah. Even speaking about this is part of the story.
Yeah. And then there was one gentleman, I believe he said, like, then of course the character goes, well, what's the sense? Like there's, and I guess that's maybe where the beauty of life comes in, and then you just enjoy the free flow, like,
yeah,
because I mean there is no sense, like there I've never seen any sense in life, like, and I said from such a very young age. Even as a child, I mean, I was classified as a character who did not like authority, because I always questioned them, like, because when they told me this is a circle and this is a square, like, it would be, I would say, why? Like, if I would have called that a circle, then that would be, like, I really questioned everything, because nothing was sense. Everything is senseless, like it was boundless, like, so at a very young age. So I guess it's just, and that's what I do. I mean, to me, like, even watching stuff, like, it is, I guess it's the entertaining, if you will, because I mean, I see it, I know it. And it's not even that I know it or if I see it, because the words are going now.
I know. I mean, this communication is probably the closest thing that can describe the indescribable. So it might might just be a pleasant resonance that's happening there.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I thank you very much for this. It was very nice meeting you, seeing you.
Thanks for sharing.
All right. Yes.
It was nice to see you, and I will come to the next meeting to have the whole day.
Okay, great.
So I'll see you then.
Yeah. Thanks, Micah. See you. Bye.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Tanya.
Thanks for doing this again. I just love you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. I want to try to come to your event, but I'm in that Pacific Coast time, so we'll see. I got to see details, but just so happy to be able to be with you again this soon.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to call out something I heard in your videos, because I just constantly am listening to them. They kind of seem to be the only thing that really kind of just brings me a little bit of peace and comfort through this journey. And thank you so much for doing them and putting them out there. But I think this is probably the best, description of the me that I've heard. And you said that the person amplifies feelings. Like there could be excitement in the body, and then the person has a conceptual idea of why they're excited. And then it starts to build a story around that. And I wanted to see if you wanted to speak a little more on that.
It automatically happens though. So, and it's quite beautiful that it can do that. And there is no reason for why, or it's unknown why the personal experience can actually feel that real. But sometimes I explain the flavor of the person as being like remarkable, because it's really able to just put its own flavor onto everything that's happening. Like nothing is actually happening, but because of the stories that are really believed in, and the meaning and the purpose of me and my life, and who and what means so much to me. yeah, it's able to amplify those emotions. And it's quite beautiful.
I love how you talk about how remarkable it is and how beautiful, and in some weird way. And I know that other speakers totally try to extend the truth that there's nothing wrong with being a me, but there's just a way that it's so raw and honest, the way you express it in your videos, that it almost makes me feel like really okay with, just at peace with it. And it is beautiful. It's just as beautiful as not a me, and I just love that about you. And yeah, I just thought that could not have been any better said. And I love listening to that. And it just because when you hear that, you're like, yeah, that's what it feels like too. It's like, I love how you were using it as like seeing your sister and like, we're going to do all this stuff and we're going to bond. And it's so how the me is. And it's like, oh, God. Oh, it's great. Okay. One more question. You had mentioned too, that you don't think it's helpful to use non-duality, as a technique to try to convince yourself that the story isn't real. Do you want to comment on that anymore or say anything to that?
I mean, if it happens, honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. Because I think it happened here too. But I do feel like it can just be beneficial in general to talk about stories and not suppress them. Because like energetically, when there's identification, it can just be in the body. And there's nothing wrong with expressing stories and seeing, yeah, they're not real, but they feel real. And yeah, to speak about it with someone who can also just understand that everything's an unknown appearance. And in this appearance, miraculously, a story can be so strongly believed in, especially if you have trauma around it, or it really triggers a sense of unworthiness or something. Like, it feels really real and it feels really true. And yeah, like I have compassion around that, because it's difficult to just dismiss that and say like, yeah, it's just a story. It's not real. I'm not real. Nothing is happening. And yeah, I also think there's something beautiful about recognizing that kind of stuff and seeing like it's so human. Pretty much every human probably felt unworthy at one point, or their whole life. I think it's like a little normal. And that's what creates the struggle in life, to try to achieve something or become something or prove oneself. And it creates this, it's an imagined journey, but it's really beautiful that a whole story was created.
Yeah, like it was created for, I don't know, not for a reason, but it's there. And, like you were saying earlier about purpose with somebody, we don't know if there's purpose, but there is a me and it's happening. And it's this really interesting thing that's happening. It creates, it's just beautiful. So thank you for answering that. And it just made me think while you were speaking, recently you've alluded to the fact that when you were kind of experiencing the loss of the me initially, you had someone to talk to who had already transitioned, or however you want to, say it. But do you feel that having that really helped the process for you? Just like you said, to be able to talk to somebody, that hold that space for you to just be in the story. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say, like, nothing is needed, there's no thing where I can say like, yeah, this actually did what I'm about to say, but I feel like it accelerated the process, because even though there's no process, but it accelerated like a dissolving of this sense, because it can be a bit of an isolating experience if you don't have people around you who have some sort of an understanding around this. Because really, what can happen is like your whole life is crumbling. Everything you thought you were and was meaningful to you can fall away. And as that's happening, it can be really painful for the body to see the traumas, to see how unworthy I thought I was, or everything I did to try and prove myself, or to feel loved, or to get acceptance. Like all of that can be seen.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy process to kind of see one's life like flashing before, not you, but like the body's still alive and something seems like it's dying. Something seems like it's dissolving. And while it's happening, it can just be really difficult. Because it can be a lot of emotion, a lot of energetic releasing, and then afterwards it is seen like none of that was actually real. But yeah, there's something really beautiful about that, like the body being alive and the individual story dissolving.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, your videos are the closest thing I could have to having someone to talk to, just because you're so open and raw and expressive, and just so there's no fear in saying. We talked about this in the last meeting. It's just, I'm so grateful, and thank you so much.
Aww,
I hope you get the retreat. You're wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tanya.
Hiya.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Suzanne. Nice to meet you at last. I feel like I know you now. I've been watching you a while. It's strange that you think you know them, but they haven't a clue who you are. It's strange. I have a friend who's just found a friend, and he's been on TV for a long time. And I was talking to him, and it all of a sudden dawned on me, I know his face.
Oh, wait, can you talk a little slower?
I'm sorry, I'm going too fast.
What is it? Is it an Australian accent?
No, it's Yorkshire, Bradford, in England.
Sorry. Yeah, a little slower for me, please.
I'm sorry, love. I do. When I'm nervous, I seem to talk faster. It don't really matter. I'm just saying how I feel like I know you, and I know you don't know me. So it's. I think when you first got started, you were doing your introduction. You said the body's a marvelous thing. How it goes about its business on its own, doing things and making decisions and stuff like that, making choices. And it just became very, very, as you said it, the clarity. Because I've had this thing about choices. We don't make choices, but sometimes I think I do make choices. But you said it then, I saw it really clear. The choices are made, but not by you. There's no you making them. And that was very, very nice.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a fair old while, on and off. Over the last 4 or 5 years, but about 4 years ago, I met a lass who were a teacher. She was a teacher. She sort of turned up, and I got talking to her. And for the first time, I say she introduced me to myself. There are exercises we do, where you close your eyes and you listen for silence, and you listening and looking and whatever, and eventually you sort of see the silence. And she asked me, now, are you looking at it or from it? And for a couple of days, I played with that one. And eventually I saw it, looking from it, so. That's when I realized, I don't know, the realization there that I am that silence. That silence is what I am really, you know what I mean? And I was really excited for a while. I sort of say that would have my waking up to what I truly am, or what I'm not is more, to be more precise, I think. But since then, a bit like the lady earlier, but the novelty sort of wore off, and all the crap started to come to the surface. And I fought and kicked and screamed. I thought when she woke up, this all went away, and the teacher kept saying, "No, it comes."
Yeah.
I could not have it, you know. I can't, because I've been going through this a long time. On and off, you know. It won't go in fast enough. You know, I was to Ramana Maharshi, and there's a good answer and thing that they don't talk much about, but they talk about Ramana woke up instantly, didn't he? And he's a good guy. It took him about 3 years. And they don't talk about any troubles after waking up. So therefore, I thought, once you wake up, your troubles are over. Your troubles are gone. You know, and it's you say there's no journey, there's no, but there does seem to be some sort of process where it's a gradual, things are falling away, melting away, I'd say. It's more like I used to suffer a lot from really bad depressions. This thing, I've had a lot of trauma in my life. I've had lots of stuff like that. But I don't have anything like, but it's nothing near as bad as that anymore. These things are still triggered, and I get the fear comes back in sometimes. But it's gradually disappearing. I can still pick up stuff. Like a lot of people, I don't think about it, but I don't look about it, but I don't feel as if I'm separate a lot of the time. So part of me just don't feel separate to anything. There's still that Steve here that gets upset with people. Or I said something the other day, and I thought, what have you done that for again? To myself, you know, beat myself up. And I'm still there with the kosh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I ain't said nothing really wrong. I just got a bit excited about something. About this stuff, really. Someone who doesn't understand what we're talking about. Or on the soapbox, you know, we do. And I come away and I've talked to 2 people about it. They both said, you're very hard on yourself, Steve. So, but all that's sort of like the mind, isn't it? That's what I get confused about. I'm still very much in that mind, that Steveness, as Fred talks about. He called it. There's that Steveness, and it's very, very powerful sometimes, but almost non-existent others.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That can happen. Like the so-called character Steve can seem to, you know, just emerge from this boundlessness, and there's no problem with that. So the triggers can be similar, and whether they dissolve slowly over apparent time, then that's what will happen. But yeah, there seems to be already a clear seeing that there is no one anywhere, and the body is just acting or reacting the way it is. And it can trigger certain thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Which I believe that's a bugger, isn't it?
And that's okay too.
Yeah. Okay for you. Hang on. But I think what I've come to realize is I'm quite accepting of that now. It's a slow process, Steve.
Yeah.
It's its own time. You can't rush it, you know. And I love self-inquiry. I just love doing that. You know? At one time, I wouldn't listen to you guys. You're very dismissive of it. Yeah, that's how I saw it anyway. But I can listen to all of it now. You know what I mean? It's all the same, really. Same message.
Yeah.
But I get a lot from self-inquiry. You know, I got it from
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. What you can also, like, if there is a sense like you believe that you did something wrong or there's something wrong with me, like you can balance it with the positive that you've never done anything wrong, that
like that one.
any thought you've ever had, it was never yours. Any feeling you've ever had, it was never yours. So you've never done anything wrong or right. So it's kind of balancing the story, but ultimately there is no story. There is no unworthy or worthy, but you can balance it with the worthy.
Yeah.
There's potential for it to dissolve if, like, I don't know, I'm making this up too, but because most of us, it's not unique that we feel like we've done something wrong, or what we think is wrong or what we feel is wrong. So because most of our lives we've been told that.
Well, yeah, possibly so.
Yeah. But what happened here was kind of a balancing of that, and recognizing that, yeah, it was all just happening on its own. No one made that decision. No one had that thought. It was just arising.
Yeah. But it's still that sense of self that's made a fool of itself a little bit, went a bit too far. And so it's still there, is what I'm saying, I suppose. But rather than stamping my foot on why it happened yet, why I awake yet, it's more of it's happening, Steve, you just leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's going on, it'll do its own thing, or it won't. Whatever happens,
Exactly.
A lot of the time I'm quite happy with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of benefits without the waking up completely. There's a lot of benefits anyway, I found, in the way I live, the way I see life, the way I, a lot of peace, a lot of anxiety too, but there's a lot of peace.
Nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. And the body will never become 0% unconditioned. It will always have remnants. So yeah, because here too, there arises like negative thoughts, and it's just not seen as a problem. It just arises. And sometimes when something really difficult happens, like there could be more negative thoughts, the body could be triggered. But it's not underneath all of that. It's not really seen as a problem. It's just an appearance, and it's part of this human life.
Well, that point hasn't arrived as yet, but we live in hopes. But thank you for putting this on and inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And you.
Hi.
Hi.
Looks like we got 15 more minutes, so I'll hop back in again.
Yeah, sure.
So they were talking about, what were they talking about? One person was talking about, dude, I just had it. He was saying, or it came up about being around other people, somebody asked you about how you were, when you were kind of transitioning, you were around some people and that knew or that could relate to it in some way. And that seems to be like a theme here too, because it seems like being around this type of energy can kind of ease you into that sort of clarity and just like stillness or whatever. Because I remember when the shift first started happening, it was like almost, for me, it was like almost 3 weeks of like the only thought that kept popping in was, I can't fucking believe I'm not having any more thoughts. Like that was the main thought, you know. I was so shocked that it was happening. But then after that, stuff started to come back, and it started to, all of the kind of like neurotic thoughts started coming back, and I started kind of worrying. But I noticed that if I spoke to some people who kind of knew about it, just their energy and their openness, because if you speak to somebody who doesn't know, you sound kind of crazy. But with people who do know, or who know, they just accept it, you know. And I don't know, it seems to put you in sort of that same kind of clear setting where, I don't know, it just feels more spacious, more open. At least that's how it was here. And I think that's probably why I ended up looking for other people and posting on YouTube. And I went to like a Zen center recently. So I met some monks, and I talked to them about non-duality. And they were really pleasantly surprised by it, because I guess people don't knock on their door asking for instruction on non-duality, but they were all into it, and it was cool. I had a fun time speaking to them. And I found like a satsang, or whatever you want to call it, kind of like what you're doing here. I found another guy that does that, and I just find it like to be in that setting, you know, once a week or every couple of weeks. I don't know. I find it helpful. Helpful, but like if you find yourself getting back into your stories, back into your neurosis, it could be okay to just, you know, hang out with some people and talk about it, because it seems to calm things down. At least that's what happened here. So
yeah, for sure. It does seem like here too, they're just a natural gravitating toward others where there's understanding of it. And that just seems to happen. Yeah. Like
yeah.
I don't really speak to my old friends. I haven't spoken to them in a while, actually. But I mean, you know, it might change, but it does seem like here too, there's just a natural wanting to only talk about this, really.
Yeah, same here. I feel like when I'm talking to people, I'm always just 2 seconds away from bringing this up, because I feel like when they get into their stories, or when they get into their stuff, I don't know. I don't want it. Like for me, this thing, it kind of had a therapeutic effect, even though it's not going to be that way for everyone. I was very, very neurotic, and I had a lot of like, I was just eyeball deep in my own neurosis, you know, and it just felt like with the message and the energetic movements or whatever, when it finally settled down, I had distance. I had enough distance from my thoughts to debunk them. Whereas before they were just all in my face, and I couldn't, you know, I was just being tossed around by them. So I feel like, I guess when people come and they share, and I mean normal people, people that aren't familiar with this message, sometimes I kind of want to be like, yeah, but there's no you, or yeah, there's, you know, like, you're not really, you're just, what you think you are is just a pattern of thoughts, you know. I kind of want to mention it, but it's like, oh, it's too much, you know. I feel like I'm really close to just bringing it up at random times, and sometimes I do. I do mention it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Is it well received?
Sometimes it's a little bit not so well received. Usually it's not, but usually I don't let it get to that point. I catch myself like before I go into it. Yeah. Another thing. Yeah. So I was also going to mention that another kind of cool thing is now that there's a lot more nothing going on up here, for the most part, it seems, and this wasn't the case earlier, but now after a few months, it seems like when I do get triggered, it's almost like a little treat, like oh shit, like I just found out something about myself, like it's almost like a little, like, I don't know, like it's not so like, oh shit, I'm uncomfortable. It's more like, oh, I'm holding on to something. Like, why am I holding on to this? It's more intriguing than it is triggering or discouraging or whatever, like annoying, or I don't know. It used to be very negative. Now it's just kind of more interesting now that there's no identification with it. It's like a new little nugget of like experience, like and insight into the character or whatever's going on. So
For sure. Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah. It is more interesting. There was a period where I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to have a personal emotion again. And I was kind of freaking out. But it's the sense that cares about that or worries about that also seems to mellow out.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. When the body's triggered, it does feel like, yeah, there's a different sense to it. Like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's like you get super defensive for something and you're like, wow, I just got super defensive, rather than being, oh shit, I'm super defensive, got to do something. It's like, I don't know. It's like you get that little distance and then you're like, oh, you can see it and you can actually observe it. And it's nice. It's nice to have that distance. Because man, I used to be just super, identified with the stories. So it's been really good, Can't believe it, can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Seems like you're celebrating.
Yeah, I seem like the only guy here that's pleased with how things seem to be going at the time. So yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Nice. Enjoy. It's good to see you. Okay. Well, I'll make a quick announcement. I do have an event coming up August 13th. You could check it out on my website under events. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. It was really nice to see everyone. Oh, wait, let me unmute. Wait, no. Okay, I think you can unmute yourself now and just say hi.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Suzanne. See?
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Do this again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Suzanne.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See you.